Only 31% of the millionaires average an income over $100,000 over the course of their career. Now you might go, that's not relatable. You've got to remember a really important thing in that survey. We're talking about people who are millionaires, right? So they have stuck to a strategy over 10, 20, 30 years. So if you apply inflation, obviously $100,000 doesn't get you as much as what it might have done 20 years ago.
Absolutely. Welcome to Checks and Balances, brought to you by Partners Life. I'm Michael Vincent. This is James Blair. And today we are looking at the National Study of Millionaires.
Okay, welcome to today's episode. So I've been excited for this one, Mike, for a little while. So Dave Ramsey, who is a financial expert in the States, a very big deal in the finance world, which of course is a great world to be in, pretty much like Disney World. He has gone out and done a survey with 10,000 millionaires. Now, what we're going to do today is talk about the results from those surveys, because people make assumptions of what millionaires are like and, wax on about whatever. Mike, before we jump into the myths, let me ask you, when you think of a millionaire, what are the kind of what are the traits, the background that comes to mind?
I would say rich parents, usually, number one. They've got a Ferrari, they've got a holiday home, they're always on private jets, that sort of lifestyle.
Right. So the Instagram lifestyle.
Basically.
They're from money, they make some money, they spend lots of money.
Yeah, but I think mainly when you think about millionaires from an outside perspective, you think of they had the money already. I don't think you ever think about like how they got the money. It's just they're rich. I'm a little bit pissed off about that, and I don't think they earned it.
It's old money.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice. Okay. So we've got some myths to run through with you today that we're going to bust off the back of it. And it's all just, it's the survey results, right? So there's just no arguing with it. Now, granted, it is a US study, so there might be some differences in New Zealand, but I think most of it applies. Myth number one is the only way to be rich is to have a rich family. This is just not true based off the 10,000 people surveyed of millionaires. The gap between the rich and the poor is only growing over time. And as a society, we're just thinking this myth of, to become a millionaire, you have to come from a rich family. But might be controversial. I think that's instead of looking at yourself and looking at how you can grow your skills and improve your situation, it's pointing the finger. Anybody who's ever been successful, I'm not in that position because they got stuff that I didn't get.
Yeah, and I mean, it's an easy thing to blame, right? It's like, it's often easier, like Matt said in one of our other episodes, instead of looking out the window, maybe look in the mirror.
And it's confronting, it's harder. But these survey results show that 79%, 4 out of 5 people did not receive any inheritance from their family. And while 21% did receive an inheritance, only 3% received more than $1 million.
Yeah. So if we're looking then at how they actually did it, what are we looking at? It wasn't a windfall of money, right? We're looking at consistent investing, avoiding bad debts, and then consistent spending as well, right? It's what's coming in, what's going out, and what is the engine that I'm investing in to grow my wealth?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty much what this podcast is all about, is get rich quick schemes are just full of BS. It's about being slow and consistent, like Mike said. I think it's also a really good point for the parents out there who maybe do have a little bit of money to think about, if you just give your kids money, you're giving them the fish, but you're not teaching them to fish. And maybe you might be putting them in a good position for a moment in time, but it actually is about the time spent with them, being a good role model around money, educating them around money, so then they can take those skills and apply them to their own life over time.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. So what's myth number 2?
Millionaires don't budget. So Mike, you said they're going on holidays, going out for expensive dinners and all those sort of things. And that might be true, but it's the point in time in which they do it. And we've done an episode in the past with the difference between being rich and being wealthy. And generally, actually, most rich people are poor because they have to earn an income and keep bringing everything in. The difference with wealthy, when you can actually start to spend money, is you have delayed gratification, you have stuck to a budget for a long enough period of time, and you built assets that pay you back a income that can last forever, right, Mike? You can actually stop working or reduce your hours and maintain the same lifestyle.
Yeah, and it's a really interesting concept to think about because a lot of people, when you look at what you think a millionaire would be, you're like, oh, they've got that high-flying job, they're the CEO, they're this, they're that. That isn't always the case, and that's not actually true most of the time. A lot of people is just controlling the income, controlling the expenditure, and what you're investing in.
Yeah, so this survey of 10,000 millionaires, 85% of them used a grocery list of some degree. They also said they spend less than $200 a month at restaurants. And I think this last one's more of an American thing, but 93% use coupons all some of the time when shopping, which
it definitely sounds American. But in New Zealand, there are rewards programs. There's, cashback offers. There's club offers that you can use as well. And like everyone knows, groceries are bloody expensive.
Yeah. So myth number 3, day trading is a good way to get rich. So as humans, we're fundamentally lazy and we want things immediately. That is not how you get rich. Day trading, the idea is I'm just going to, if I invested into Apple in the 1990s, I'd have billions of dollars, is just a load of bollocks. So out of the 10,000 millionaires, not a single one, not one out of 10,000 said stock picking was a big factor in their financial success. Mike, does that surprise you?
No, not at all, right? And it's that 80-20 rule of finance, right? It is 20% knowledge, but 80% behavior. If you've got the knowledge and you don't implement it, you're not going to get it. And the other thing is that get rich quick scheme. I don't know how often we see them. Instant equity, massive uplift, and they are everywhere. And it is very tempting to look at people online, especially who are selling these get rich quick courses, these day trading schemes, and thinking, if I just put $1,000 in there, he's going to turn it into 50,000 in one day. It does not work. It is a scam. They are trying to sell you something. You are not going to make money by doing that.
So while 0 out of 10,000 talked about day trading, 75% said consistent investing over the long term was a key reason for their success. So we're not trying to get rich over 6 months. We're trying to build wealth over decades.
So James, before we continue, I have got a special announcement.
Have you started sticking to your budget?
Absolutely not.
You finally made it as an after-hours DJ.
I wish. Mate, the thing is, we have got a brand new podcast partner, Partners Life.
You mean the award-winning insurance provider with over 300,000 Kiwis insured?
Yep, they're also a New Zealand-operated company, and they are passionate about increasing financial literacy amongst Kiwis.
Sounds like a great match. Where can I learn more about them?
Check out their website in our show notes below.
Really thought DJ Magic Mike was going to be a global sensation for a second. The next myth, which is quite an interesting one, millionaires make a huge income. Now, Mike, in theory, this myth would make sense, right?
Yeah.
The more money you have, the more money you have to invest, but that's not necessarily the case.
And you would think that, all of these people are CFOs. We have customers who have, relatively speaking, don't earn a lot of money. We have CEOs, CFOs, partners of law firms who do earn a ton of money. And you would think that those ones who do make a ton of money, they're making the best financial decisions, right? That is not the case. A lot of them are just as bad or worse than the people who don't earn a lot of money because they're like, I don't have to budget. I can blow it all out of the water.
Yeah, and I've got a really good example. I've got a CEO who earns north of $1 million a year and is going backwards every fortnight, who is not taking steps forward towards being wealthy and achieving financial freedom. While in Tauranga, I've got a bloke who washes cars for $40,000 a year, and he's been financially free for years. And why? Because to be financially free, first off, his expenses are lower, so he achieves it faster. Secondly, there is a gap between his income and his expenses, and he invests that, opposed to the CEO who is just living paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah.
So like Mike spoke about and is supported in this survey, only 15% of the millionaires in this 10,000 person survey were in a senior leadership position like a CEO, like a CFO, or a COO. 93% of the millionaires got their wealth because they worked hard, not because they were on big salaries. The top careers, probably not that surprising: engineers, accountants, teachers, a management position, a lawyer. Only 31% of the millionaires average an income over $100,000 over the course of their career. Now, you might go, that's not relatable. You've got to remember a really important thing in that survey. We're talking about people who are millionaires, right? So they have stuck to a a strategy over 10, 20, 30 years. So if you apply inflation, obviously 100 grand doesn't get you as much as what it might have done 20 years ago.
Absolutely.
So a third of the people in the survey never made six figures. And according to the survey, 8 out of 10 invested in their 401k, which is very similar to KiwiSaver, just being consistent, chipping away and investing.
Yeah, and we often see when we tell people this about our long-term strategies and you don't have to make these huge moves, they go, yeah, great. And then they send us an email going, would you invest in the Magellan Exchange Traded Fund or this high-risk, high-yield fund over here? I'm like, it doesn't, like, you're trying to outperform the market again when you don't have to. It's about being consistent over the long term. The S&P 500 is going to be far more consistent than some high-flying exchange-traded fund.
Yeah, and that's where I do lose people sometimes in terms of what we do. The boring, consistent plan with reviews and slight adjustments. That's the best way forward, opposed to like, I'm going to try and find an extra 1%, but I can't consistently stick to a budget and regularly invest.
Yeah, or I'm going to find that 1%, but dial the risk up another 10%. It just doesn't make any sense.
And then the market changes. I don't have an emergency fund, and I lose everything.
Yeah.
Myth number 5, and our final myth of the day: you need to have an elite education to be wealthy. So you're going to very prestigious schools, assuming you've gone to university. Well, only 8% of the 10,000 millionaires in this study went to a prestigious university in the States. 62% graduated from a public or a state school. And while education is very important, and we're not dismissing the point of education, there's probably an assumption that the fancier the education, the more wealthy you're going to be long term, right?
Yeah, 100%, right? And I think that also plays into the myth around the old money. The people didn't work for, right? They got into the elite school because there's money in the family, right? But actually, when you look at the stats and you look at the survey, that is not the case at all.
So the point of today's episode is really just to debunk that, the assumptions of millionaires is just, we like to think that things are really easy and that we can get there with not that much effort, but it is about being consistent over a long period of time with a really good plan. And my suggestion to you is, if you do not have a plan, if you are clicking on these Instagram ads, these Facebook ads that's trying to help you get ahead, you are not going to achieve the goals. The people in this survey have earned okay money, but have stuck to a budget, have regularly invested, have not received a handout from their parents necessarily. It's just hard, consistent work over a long period of time. And Mike, that might sound a little bit, it's not the fun way to do it, but that's the reality of the situation.
Yeah, people want the sexy advice. That's why everyone clicks on those ads. How am I going to be the millionaire tomorrow and have that Instagram lifestyle? Unfortunately, that is not how it works.
Yeah, so there's two options here. You keep clicking on those ads and you try and get rich quickly, or you put a financial plan in place and take control of your future. If you need our help doing that, jump on the Lighthouse website, have a look at all the resources, touch base if you need some help. Big thank you to Partners Life for sponsoring this episode. Make sure to subscribe to the podcast. Make sure to give us a review, a like, and we will catch you next time.
Cheers.